Welcome back. You are tuned in to IBL, inspired by Onika, speaking on life and inspiring people. Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 30. And this is the IBL podcast, and today's message is pressing replay or evolving. Pressing replay or evolving. So today's episode is just about if we are learning and growing as we get older, or we just pressing the button, replaying our day the same way we've done for the past month, years. And it's easy to really get stuck in that cycle of our daily routines and rituals. And before you know it, you look up and it's like, wow, a whole year has passed and I'm still in the same place. So, we don't want to get stuck in that loop. You know how you play something, you play a video or a song, and when it's finished, it stops, but you can loop it to where once it finishes, it's just going to replay over and over and over. So that's what I mean by pressing replay. We don't want to get stuck in a loop. And I know it's easier said than done. And, we want to just evolve as people. And when we are in our 20s, certainly when we get to be older, in our 30s and 40s and beyond, we're not going to be doing the same things that we were back in those days, because we're maturing. We're, getting older. We're having different life experiences. So we certainly want to evolve as we move along in life. So one way that we can start is for one thing, let's start with grab a piece of paper, pen, or whatever works best for you. Let's start by making a list. We're going to start with the list first. And on this list, just kind of take stock of the things you do every day. Think about those things, write those down, okay? And then once you have your list made, then just ask yourself these questions for each of those items on your list, okay? You want to ask yourself, am I learning anything from this? Am I growing mentally, emotionally? Is this a challenge for me? And if you answered no to any of those, or I should say the things that you answered no to, those are the things you want to look at, because you want to kind of do less of those things. We want to replace those things that we're not learning from, we're not growing. We want to replace it with something new. Okay, and also one important thing when we're doing this exercise, try to keep your paper, or if you're putting it on your phone, however you do it, try to keep it in a place that's easily accessible, someplace where you can easily look at it every day, because you want to refer back to it. And at some point later on, maybe we may add something to the list, So just make sure that when you're making your list, just make it in a place that's easily accessible. You can review it often. We don't want to just make our list and then we throw it in the junk drawer, or, we throw it on the bookshelf somewhere and then we forget about it. So let's start with that list first, okay? So then once we identify those things and it's like, wow, I've been doing this for the past 3 months. What we can do to try to, evolve and do some different things is we can seek out some new activities. So one way we can do that is we can search the internet for some activities, or if you know someone that is involved in some kind of, hobbies or some kind of interest groups, and they asked you before if you would be interested in joining in, but you just weren't interested before. Well, maybe you want to try it now. Just try it now. Give it a shot. You never know. You never know. Just start to look for some new activities and just replace those things that you feel like, I'm just doing this. This is just a part of my routine and I'm not really getting anything out of it. I'm not really growing or learning anything. And so once we seek out new activities, we're learning new things. So that's another skill that we've learned. Also, we get to meet new people, and, it just opens the door to new possibilities, and this is how we start to learn about ourselves and things our likes and dislikes. And, it's just, there are so many rewards when we do this. So some other ways we can evolve are we can challenge ourselves, by doing something that's outside of our comfort zone. So, when we stay in our comfort zone, we're not learning anything. We get stuck, we get stagnant. We're not learning anything. We're just doing the same thing. We're not going anywhere, but time is just passing us by. We don't want that. We don't want that. So something we can do to help get out of that replay loop is we can challenge ourselves by doing something new. So let's say, for example, let's say if you don't like to speak in public, so you can try to join a Toastmasters group. And Toastmasters, they have a lot of different chapters, in different places. You can research that online. And all that is like a group. You have a session where there's a group of people and there's a subject. And if it's your turn, you stand up in front of the group, you speak, to the group, and they're there as a support. And when you're done with, you're speaking to the group, they will give you some feedback. They'll tell you, what you did well. They'll tell you what things to work on. And, there's no judgment. There's no judgment. And, that's why everyone's there, because they want to practice this speaking in front of a group. And, it's a great experience if, you would like to try it. I have done this myself, and I'm really glad that I tried it. So, but there's other kinds of groups. There's other things besides Toastmasters that you can try. So, that may be one way to challenge yourself if you don't like to speak in public. That's a great way to start. That is a great way to start. And let's say another example of challenging ourselves is if you are someone who's afraid of heights, for example. So if you have a ladder at your house, just go up a few steps each time, go up some more each time, and just take note of how you feel as you go up higher and higher. Some other things you can do also is, let's say if you are in a staircase and you can go up as much as you can, you go up, and then you kind of look over the banister and just kind of take note of how you feel, and then just keep doing that and just going up a little bit higher and higher each time until you feel like, wow, this is not so bad. I can do this, and just make sure that when you're doing this, just take a note of how you feel, your breathing. Don't forget to breathe. That's very important, because sometimes if we panic, it's not gonna be such a great experience. So let's be sure that we're breathing when we're doing this. So also another example is if you're a person who you feel socially awkward, you're not comfortable in social settings. It's a thing where you go to an event and you find a corner and you stay there. You don't want to talk to anyone. You don't want people to talk to you. You start to, your heartbeat starts racing, so if that's how you find yourself, what you can do, one practice that you can do is when you go to your next social event, just challenge yourself to speak to one person that you don't know. Just, challenge yourself. You go up and start a conversation with one person at the event. But before you do that, just practice what you're going to say. Practice your opening lines, so that at least you'll know how you want to start the conversation or the introduction to the person. And then before you know it, you're going to be talking to everybody. You're going to be working the room. You're not going to feel awkward anymore. And you're going to actually feel excited and you're going to anticipate going to social events. It won't be kind of like a thing where you're dreading it, you're going to actually have a good time. So, that's one thing. So just kind of practice at home what you want to say. And, none of these things that, when we're challenging ourselves, none of these things feel natural at all. They don't. But I think that's part of the whole point and what makes it challenging, because life is going to give us challenges, whether we're ready for it or not. That's just how life is. So, if we want to grow, we want to evolve and, see what we're capable of doing, this is, a way that we can do it. And there are so many great rewards when we overcome our fears. It helps us, to cope with challenges later on down the line. It gives us a confidence boost. And we also feel a sense of achievement when we're able to overcome a fear of whatever that fear may be. And then also, the more we do this, it leaves us more open to try something new, later on. We won't be so hesitant, So those are some of the great things about evolving and challenging ourselves. Because when we do this, we're going to learn whether or not, when we're trying these new activities, we're going to learn whether or not this is an activity that we like. And then we're going to know whether we can do it or not. And, that's important. We may not think about that often, but, that's something that we can learn. And not to say that we're going to be successful or that we are going to like some of these new things, but it's the whole point of just challenging ourselves, just seeing if we can do it, and, we want to, when we're seeking these new activities, we don't want to do things that we just know are so easy. We know these are things we're good at. We want to pick some things that maybe are not so easy for us. We want to pick some things that we feel might be a little hard. So those are the things that we want to try to do when we're seeking out these new activities. So that is the episode today. And it is pressing replay or evolving. And I just want to end the episode with a quote by James Baldwin. And the quote is, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced." Okay, I'm going to say it again. Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. Now, isn't that something true? That is so true. So I want to thank you all for taking the time to stop by and listen to the episode. And if there's someone that you think may benefit or would like to hear the information and some of the tips and suggestions, share with a friend, coworker, family. And I really appreciate all your likes and your shares, and also subscribe. So that is it for this episode, and stay tuned for more. So if you want to hear this episode, you can hear this and all episodes on the Podbean app, on YouTube, and Spotify. So until next time, stay well and be blessed. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. You can hear this and all episodes on the Podbean app, YouTube, and Listen Notes. Until next time, stay well and be blessed.